Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone's having a good Tuesday so far. Thank you for joining us for Penn State softball media availability. I have Coach Crowell here. She will start with an opening statement, and then we will get into questions. So, Coach, whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. First off, just want to say good morning. Hope everybody's doing well. Overall, a solid weekend for our team as we finished 3-1, and just really happy with our performance. And to start with just individual performances, have to start with Bailey Partial. Incredible game against FIU Friday night, as I'm sure you all are aware of. And for a pitcher to throw a perfect game through 7 innings, it's a pretty impressive performance by Bailey, and just really proud of her. And obviously Bailey had her best stuff that night, but I do think it takes a lot more than just being able to pitch well. I think just from a mindset standpoint, I think she was able to stay composed. I think, you got to show some grittiness and some resiliency and some mental toughness to throw a perfect game. So again, just hats off to Bailey for an incredible performance. It was the first perfect game that our program's had in 17 years, as I believe the last one was thrown back in 2005. So great night for Bailey. And then, on Sunday, she comes back out and shuts them out again, which that's another huge accomplishment in itself. Offensively, we had a lot of kids step up this weekend, which I was really, really happy to see. Have to start with Allie Curlin. Allie had a fantastic weekend. She hit .563, led our team in several categories, including hits, extra base hits, and she had 2 home runs, one of which ended the game against FIU on Sunday. And we really saw what Allie is capable of doing this weekend, and just really proud of her performance. And second to Allie, we have Michelle Leone again. She's been steady Eddie for us, just been really, really consistent. And I have been very pleased with Michelle. The one thing that we know is anytime Michelle steps into the box, she's going to have a productive at bat. And, she led our team in on base percentage, and she's just doing a really great job for us. A third, Laura Marcotte, Low, as we call her, somebody who we typically rely on from a defensive standpoint, as she's been playing shortstop for us. So to see her hit 500 on a weekend and have as many great at bats as she did, I was really happy with her offensive performance. And Cassie Lindmark had another good weekend for us and hit her first home run as a Penn Stater, which was nice to see. And Lexi Black had a great weekend too. And she also had her first home run as a Penn Stater. So lots of firsts this weekend, which is great to see. And lastly, Lilia Crotham also had a very productive weekend for us, and really just happy with Lil. And she's really been stepping up for us offensively too. So when you hit 350 as an offense and do what our offense, we scored a lot of runs this weekend, which is awesome to see. So last week I talked about, I really wanted to see us not strike out as much, and we achieved that goal. So just overall good weekend. And from a defensive standpoint, I mean, our fielding percentage is right around a 980. So, and tough loss against Buffalo, but again, overall on the weekend, just happy to go 3-1.
Perfect. We'll move into questions. If you can use the raise your hand function under reactions, I will call on you, and that is how we'll have this part start. Who wants to go first? James, go ahead.
Good morning, Coach. Hope you had a great weekend. I wanted to ask, how important was it for the team to bounce back after the first loss of the tournament against Buffalo, having the game canceled Saturday night, and then coming back and just absolutely beating FIU again by the 10-run rule? How big of a confidence booster was that for the expectations for the end of the weekend?
Right. That's a great question. And it was huge. And sometimes hats off to Buffalo. Honestly, I thought they had a good approach at the plate, and they played a solid game against us, and that's just the way the game goes. Sometimes you get outscored. It wasn't necessarily anything that, we could have maybe, I know we left a lot of runners on base that game. We could have done some things a little better, but we also did things pretty well that game, and we just got beat. And, sometimes the losses teach us more than the wins. And I do think, and our team needed to be in that situation. And I think for the most part, pitching and defense has been pretty good. And that was the first time where we went later in the game where the other team went up, and we need that experience as a team, because we're going to be back in that situation at some point in time. But all you can control is how you respond the next game. And we were disappointed that the Cleveland State game got canceled. And I will say that it was one of those days where it was, hey, just because of the weather and the way that the tournament was situated, our team was kind of in and out that day. But I tell you, when they showed up to the field, I felt really good about how they were to come out against Cleveland State. Unfortunately, that ended up getting canceled. But then the next day they come back and they're on the bus. Before they even walked on the bus, you had that feeling like, okay, they're ready to go. They get on the bus, they're having a really good time on the bus. And, we had a great warm up and they were obviously able to respond. So as a coach, that's what you want to see with your team. You always want to learn from your losses and find ways to get better. And they definitely did that. So I'm just proud of the way that they bounced back on Sunday.
Madison.
Hi, Coach. Good morning. Can you tell me a little bit about Bailey's mindset and her strength and resilience and how her pitching a perfect game is a pivotal moment for your team?
And Bailey and I talked about this on Saturday. When in the moment after it happens, you're just really excited about her being able to accomplish such a lot of pitchers aren't able to throw a perfect game. So it was incredible. But the next day I sat and talked with her and we went through her numbers and, how she worked ahead in the count and things like that. And when you look at her numbers, there were times where she went down in the count and went into 3-2 counts. But I think what got her that perfect game, and I told this to her, it was her mindset. She was able to stay composed and I think the composure piece in a situation like that is most important. But yeah, she was gritty and she was resilient. She went down 3-2 a couple of times and still found ways to get batters out. And, nobody really talked about it. I was interested to see how our team was going to handle a situation like this because we have not been in it. But nothing changed throughout the game. And I credit our team. I credit Bailey for they just stayed focused on the process. And at the end of the game, we celebrated, but from a dugout standpoint, you would not have known what was going on. So I'm proud of Bailey for being able to handle that because it's a pretty big deal. And also the team did a good job as well. So yeah, I think she had a great game. I think she was locked in, but I do attribute that perfect game to her just being mentally tough, composed, and being resilient and gritty.
Eric.
Coach, good to talk to you. I'm curious, through the first 2 weeks of the season, what have you learned about your team that you didn't know, that you couldn't learn in practice or in scrimmages, that you can only learn in game action? What's one of the things you've learned about your team so far?
I think just how competitive and gritty we can be, and until you're put to the test and you're battle tested, you don't really know the makeup of your team from a intangible standpoint. So I've definitely learned that our kids are I know that they're hardworking. I know that they bring energy, but the grittiness piece I've been really proud of them for. And, again, even in games where we're going down, they still, we go into the last couple of innings against Buffalo. I'm pretty sure Cassie hit a home run and we're still putting together great at bats. We're squaring up the ball. It just didn't find the holes. So, I do think that our team is special, and I think we can do a lot of great things this year as we continue to evolve as a group. So,
James.
Hey, Coach. Just going a little bit off the mindset of how the team seems almost relaxed going into the game, and then how the team almost seems like super locked in, super focused for when the game starts. Can you attribute that to anything specific, to where they might, like, they're having fun in Florida and then 1 second they're on the field and Bailey Parshall's throwing a perfect game? Like, how does the team flip that switch?
I think as a coach, you can't control how that part of a team, how they come together, that's just organic. And the more time they spend with each other, the more we play, the more they figure it out as a group. And I don't even think it's something that they think about. It's just something that happens within a team. And it's pretty cool and special as a coach, to be able to witness your team's growth throughout the year. And obviously we're only 2 weekends into this thing, but I'm very happy with where we are at this point in time. And the one message that I had for them on Sunday after that FIU victory, I said, they did a great job of just staying relaxed, but having fun, and as long as we can find that balance of, hey, let's be relaxed, let's have fun, but let's be competitive and stay focused and locked in, we're going to have a great year. So, and I did think by the end of that weekend, they figured that out. I don't know if they had that last weekend, but this weekend, now they're dancing on the bus like, hey, coach, can we play music, going to the field. And honestly, I think the Saturday game and the rain delays and the what time are we going to play and all that happened, I think that's kind of where that started. And they just kind of carried that into Sunday, which is good to see. So we'll see if we're having dance parties on the bus down in Atlanta this weekend. So if they play like that, they can have dance parties anytime. But
Madison.
That's awesome. That's so fun that they can kind of could switch that flip and really get to know. So my next question for you is, earlier in the season, you talked about how you all worked together to really prepare. How was, I guess, your team prepared to keep their composure with all the work you did in the off season?
Yeah. And, again, these are concepts that we talk about with them and as far as resiliency and confidence and all of that. But you don't really know how it's going to play out until they're put into the moments. Right. So I do think that all these things that we've talked about as a team, you can only prepare so much, but I do think when the challenges and the hard times have presented itself to them, because they've all been, as a team, we've been battle tested, as individuals, they've been battle tested. I think that they've responded very well to it, and all the credit to our team as a whole and to just each player individually on that.
James.
Hey, Coach, I just want to ask about, so this weekend was a hitting clinic
Yep.
for some of the players, many of the players actually. And I've seen throughout the first couple of games how players like Allie Curlin and Cassie Lindmark have just had one hoppers off the fence and just struggling to get right over that fence. And now that Allie Curlin hits a walk-off game-ending home run and Cassie Lindmark adds her own home run, Lexi Black gets her first home run. Is this a thing we can expect from Penn State softball, is more slugging and more power, or is it just kind of just because of the weather down there per se almost?
Yeah, I mean, first off, hats off to all of our kids, because we had a good weekend offensively, but our kids don't go up in the box with the intent to hit the ball out of the park. That stuff just, if it happens, great. But, their job as hitters is to just go up there and have good at bats, so can we expect this from them? Those kids that you mentioned are kids that we do expect the doubles from, but I will say that that's not their goal when they step into the box. And, I do expect our offense to show, we're a very unique, we're a unique offense, but I do think the makeup of our offenses, we've got some kids that can swing it really well, but you've got kids like Michelle Leone and Laura Marcotte, who they're hitting for a high average right now and they're getting on base, and maybe they don't get the doubles, but I tell you, their singles are scoring runs for us this weekend. Right. So I think we've got kids who are going to hit for a high average, kids who are going to drive the ball in. And, I do expect us to continue to run the bases because I think that we do that well. So at the end of the day, we're just trying to find ways to score as many runs as we can, whether that's by the double, the home run, or by honestly just hitting singles, moving kids. So, yeah, Coach Toka did a great job this weekend with the squeeze bunt in the first FIU game. And, so utilize the short game and our speed on the bases. So I think you can see a lot of different things from our offense. And, once we get into Big Ten play and in a couple, Georgia Tech's going to have a good pitcher. They're 8-2 right now and doing a good job. And I think our offense will be tested. But, when you face a Bobian or a Staracco or a Sickles from Illinois, you can't expect that all the time. Our goal is just to always find ways to score runs. So,
Eric.
Coach, obviously, so many people now are starting to get used to know, excuse me, Bailey Partial. When did you when you got to know her, did you see this in her right away? Did it take you a while? Take me through that process and the growth of that relationship between, you and her and the staff.
Yeah, honestly, Bailey was a great pitcher before I even set foot here at Penn State. So I'm not surprised at all by her success thus far this year. And obviously I was new last year, so I think it's taken me some time and Bailey some time to get to know one another. And that's the case for all of our student athletes. But I definitely, when I came here year one, I said, I believe that, you could be one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in the Big Ten. And she's showing that. And I think the one area that she's grown in is her mentality and her toughness as a pitcher. And I think that that's just natural for any pitcher throughout their collegiate career. I mean, Bailey's a senior now. And I think, from a composure standpoint and just a mindset standpoint, like she is really evolving in that standpoint, because I mean, her stuff is great, and anyone who watches her throws knows that. But again, Bailey, all the credit to her, because she's the one that grinds every day and puts in the work. And the one thing I'll say about Bailey is she is a student of the game. She is constantly watching film. She enjoys the game. She enjoys just the behind the scenes stuff that some players don't do as much as she does. So, she really preps. Her preparation as a pitcher is great. But again, Bailey, kudos to the previous staff for bringing Bailey here, because she was a good pitcher, but she was a good pitcher before I even came here. So.
James?
Hi, Coach. You just talked about how you're facing a really good Georgia Tech team coming up.
Yep.
And that's just the beginning of this tournament in Atlanta and then the following tournament in North Carolina. But as those two tournaments wrap up and the team comes back to State College, what are your goals? Obviously, your goal is always to go 500 at a tournament, but are there any personal accolades you want for your players in this tournament, or no?
No. I mean, we don't focus on, again, I talked about this week one, but we're staying process based, and we kind of stole Coach Franklin's mentality, going 1-0, each game. That's just what we're trying to do. We're going 1-0. And honestly, before the FIU game, they changed up their pregame cheer and said 1-0. So that, as a coach, when you hear that, when you hear that you're messaging that they're getting it, that's huge. And that also tells me that they're not making this too big, right? So if you get caught up in accolades and results, that's just not someplace as a coach or as a player that we want to be. So again, we've got a tough weekend coming up this weekend, and it's an even shorter week because we got back pretty late. Well, I would say Monday morning. Is that right, Nicole? Around 4:35. So, the biggest thing for us, we kind of shortened practice today because we just need them to get rested and recover from this trip so that we're ready to go. But yeah, starting with Georgia Tech, I mean, they've got a great pitcher that's throwing the ball and they're swinging it pretty well. So it'll be a good challenge for us starting with Georgia Tech this weekend.
Eric, you can wrap us up with the final question.
Coach, obviously you got the trip to Atlanta. You got 3 different teams you're playing,
Yep.
but I'm curious. I've spoken to so many Big Ten coaches, and they've talked about how they even admit one of the things they learned last year is they took for granted either tournaments like this and midweek games as far as the growth of the team. And, they felt they were thrown into the wolves right into conference play. How much has that helped your team? Because you kind of were, you're trying to build a program, get to know them. You're thrown to the wolves in your first year. Do you feel this year it's helped more of the natural growth of the team? And that's part of the joy that you're seeing with your team is, hey, we're playing other teams. We're not being thrown out to the wolves and playing Michigan right away.
Right. I think we all felt like we were thrown to the wolves last year as well. So I share that sentiment with the other Big Ten coaches. But, I think you play all these tournaments, you play the midweek games, as that's what's helping to prepare you for really what we're all shooting for is conference play, right? So, and right now with our kids and our team going down and competing against some non-conference teams, it's a big deal. And, you know, so yeah, it's been great to get back to a normal schedule. You know, at the same time, last year, I mean, we didn't start playing, I think, until maybe this weekend. So as far as the Thursday through Sunday trips, getting home, getting back on the road, this is kind of new for our kids because, well, I think only one class has actually been through a full year. So for our staff, we've been very mindful of the rest and the recovery piece and understanding of, hey, you know, it's we've got to make sure that our kids are getting rest and sleep, and because they haven't been through the schedule before. So, but anyway, so yeah, it's great to go out and be able to play against some other teams, and all these games are definitely going to better prepare us for conference this year.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for your time this morning. Thank you, Coach, for yours as well. Bailey Partial will be on Zoom at 1:30 this afternoon, just so everybody knows that as well. But thank you, Coach.
Awesome. Thank you all for being here. Have a great day.
Thanks, Coach. Have a great week.